Got a free weekend and a Hulu subscription? Welcome back to Screen Curator. We are diving straight into 10 phenomenal, self-contained television events you can completely finish by Sunday night without losing a wink of sleep. Let us begin. We begin our weekend binge watch countdown with a masterclass in slow burn tension, the Emmy-winning limited series Dopesick. Instead of offering a dry history lesson, this gripping 8-episode drama plays out like a corporate thriller, clashing with a quiet, localized tragedy. It drops us directly into a tight-knit Virginia mining community where Michael Keaton's compassionate country doctor, Samuel Phoenix, is persuaded by a charismatic pharmaceutical rep to prescribe a brand new, supposedly safe miracle painkiller called OxyContin to his injured patients. What follows is a devastating multi-timeline journey that bridges the gap between pristine, bloodless Purdue Pharma boardrooms and the gritty reality of rural coal mines. We see Betsy, a young miner just looking to soothe her aching back, get swept up in a predatory system designed to create lifelong customers, while relentless federal prosecutors slowly build a case against the untouchable Sackler family. Dopesick succeeds so beautifully because it never treats its characters like statistics. It anchors a massive national scandal in deeply human, heartbreakingly specific stories. It is an incredibly propulsive, emotionally charged ride that will leave you furious, deeply moved, and absolutely unable to look away from your screen. Next up at number 9 is Normal People, a beautifully painful Irish drama that understands the terrifying weight of young love better than almost anything else on television. We follow Marianne and Connell, two teenagers from entirely different social spheres in a small Irish town. He is the popular, quiet athlete. She is the wealthy, fiercely opinionated outcast. Their relationship begins in secret, sparked by quiet, hesitant conversations in Marianne's kitchen, while Connell waits for his mother to finish her cleaning shift at the estate. What makes this 12-episode journey so deeply arresting is its absolute commitment to emotional realism. Directors Lenny Abrahamson and Hetty McDonald avoid melodramatic cliches, choosing instead to focus on the devastating impact of miscommunication in class divisions as the pair transitions to college in Dublin. Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar-Jones deliver raw, incredibly vulnerable performances, capturing the unspoken ache of growing up. Because the episodes are a brisk 30 minutes long, the story moves with a heavy, magnetic momentum that makes it impossible not to watch just one more. It is a masterclass in quiet intimacy that will leave you bruised, breathless, and utterly captivated. Sliding into our number 8 spot is the addictive, deeply unsettling biographical thriller The Dropout. This 8-part miniseries tracks the meteoric rise and catastrophic unraveling of Elizabeth Holmes, the Stanford dropout who promised to revolutionize medicine with just a single drop of blood. Amanda Seyfried is absolutely mesmerizing in her Emmy-winning role, capturing Holmes's bizarre transition from an ambitious teenager into a black turtleneck-wearing mogul with an unnaturally lowered baritone voice and an unblinking hypnotic stare. The tension of the show doesn't come from typical thriller tropes, but from the quiet, sweating panic behind closed doors. You watch in real time as her proprietary Edison machines fail to produce actual results, even as she secures massive corporate deals with Walgreens and Charmafen's elder statesmen. It is a masterclass in the slow-motion car crash of human ego and systemic greed, showing how easily blind faith can replace scientific truth. If you love stories about high society, scammers, corporate espionage, or the absolute limits of the fake-it-till-you-make-it startup ethos, this propulsive ride is engineered to be watched in one single breathless sitting. Coming in at number 7 is The Act, a psychological thriller masquerading as a pastel-colored dream. This series plunges you into the deeply unsettling real-life story of Gypsy Blanchard, a girl confined to a wheelchair, believing she is battling leukemia and muscular dystrophy, and her fiercely protective mother, Dee Dee. Joey King undergoes a staggering physical transformation, completely shaving her head, to play Gypsy, opposite a chillingly maternal Patricia Arquette. The horror of The Act doesn't come from shadows, but from the sterile glare of medicine spoons, endless pill organizers, and the suffocating grasp of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. As Gypsy transitions into young womanhood, discovering she can actually walk and that her entire existence is a fabrication, the story transforms into a claustrophobic escape thriller. You watch, stomach knotted, as she uses a secret internet connection to plot her freedom in the dead of night. It is a masterclass in tension, asking how far a captive will go to break her golden cage. If you crave true crime that trades cheap sensationalism for profound psychological dread, this tragic single-season story will keep you glued to your screen all weekend. Landing right in the middle of our weekend list at number 6 is Pam and Tommy, a wild, neon-soaked ride that chronicles the exact moment the internet permanently altered the landscape of modern celebrity. This fast-paced series kicks off not with a high-tech heist, but with a disgruntled, mullet-wearing contractor played beautifully by Seth Rogen, who steals a heavy-duty safe from Tommy Lee's mansion. Inside is a private honeymoon VHS tape that was never meant for the public eye. What makes this show so incredibly watchable is how it balances a chaotic crime caper with genuine, heartbreaking empathy. Lily James undergoes a mesmerizing transformation to capture Pamela Anderson's vulnerability beneath the bright lights of Baywatch, while Sebastian Stan perfectly channels the manic, drumstick-twirling energy of the Motley Crue drummer. As the tape migrates from back-alley bootlegs to the lawless early frontier of the World Wide Web, the narrative evolves into a gripping cautionary tale about digital privacy. It is a stylish, bittersweet, and highly addictive journey through late 90s excess that will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about this cultural turning point. If you want a binge that is as thoughtful as it is relentlessly entertaining, this is the one. Coming in at number 5 on our countdown is Fleishman Is in Trouble, a razor-sharp limited series that begins as a bitter Manhattan divorce comedy and pressure cooks into something far more profound. Jesse Eisenberg plays Toby, a 41-year-old doctor enjoying a sudden dizzying renaissance of dating app attention in the wake of his marriage collapsing. But just as he is starting to relish his newfound freedom, his high-powered ex-wife, played with ferocious intensity by Claire Danes, drops off their kids early and vanishes without a trace. Suddenly, Toby is left juggling liver transplants, crying children, and a barrage of unanswered text messages. What makes this an absolute must-watch is its brilliant narrative structure. Narrated by Toby's college friend Libby, the show expertly plays with perspective. It coaxes you into taking sides, only to gently, devastatingly reframe everything you thought you knew about marriage, ambition, and the quiet tragedies of aging. It is a masterclass in empathy that will leave you thinking about its final frame long after the weekend is over. For our 4th spot on the countdown, we are diving into the chilling, prayer-silenced valleys of Utah with the masterfully tense limited series Under the Banner of Heaven. The story hooks you immediately with Andrew Garfield's devastating performance as Jeb Pyre, a deeply devout Mormon detective who is called to investigate the horrific ritualistic murder of a young mother and her infant daughter in 1984. But what makes this 7-episode mystery so uniquely gripping is not just the hunt for the killer, it is the spiritual crisis of the man conducting the search. Creator Dustin Lance Black utilizes Pyre as a fictional anchor, guiding us through a labyrinth of fringe fundamentalism, historical secrets, and the terrifying consequences of blind obedience. Instead of a standard police procedural, you get an incredibly atmospheric, quiet, yet earth-shattering collision of faith and horror. You feel the heavy, oppressive silence of a community that prefers to bury its monsters in prayer, and you watch a man's very soul unravel under the weight of the truth. If you crave a weekend binge that challenges your mind and leaves you entirely breathless, this is the one that demands your attention. Taking our 3rd spot is Little Fires Everywhere, a series that turns the manicured lawns of late 90s suburban Ohio into a psychological battlefield. On one side, you have Reese Witherspoon's Elena Richardson, a woman whose entire identity is anchored in organizational perfection, color-coded schedules, and the polite rules of Shaker Heights. On the other is Kerry Washington's Mia Warren, an enigmatic, nomadic artist who lives on the margins and refuses to conform to suburban expectations. When Elena rents a duplex to Mia and her teenage daughter, a seemingly charitable gesture quickly spirals into an intense, toxic obsession. What makes this 8-episode mystery so incredibly bingeable is the fierce, magnetic chemistry of its lead performances. The conflict is deeply personal, centering on motherhood, class, and the secrets we keep to protect our children. It plays out in quiet, sharp conversations over kitchen islands, intense encounters in art studios, building an atmospheric dread where every look is a weapon. If you love dramas where the facade of a perfect community slowly cracks until the whole foundation catches fire, this is the story that will keep you glued to your screen all weekend. At number 2, we have the chillingly prophetic sci-fi thriller Class of '09, a show that masterfully turns the traditional FBI procedural on its head. This gripping limited series follows a single class of recruits across 3 distinct eras: their idealistic training days at Quantico in 2009, a tense compromise in the present day, and a surveillance-choked future in 2034. This isn't just a story about catching bad guys. It's about what happens when the Bureau hands its conscience over to predictive artificial intelligence. Brian Tyree Henry and Kate Mara deliver powerhouse performances as agents who watch the very system they swore to uphold morph into an algorithmic pre-crime nightmare. The narrative moves like a fluid puzzle, jumping back and forth to show how small, seemingly innocent decisions made in the past directly pave the way for a totalitarian future. The tension doesn't come from cheap jump scares, but from the slow, terrifying realization of how easily human judgment can be replaced by cold code. If you want a sleek, brainy thriller that keeps you guessing across multiple timelines while mirroring our own escalating anxieties about technology, Class of '09 is the perfect gripping weekend binge. We have arrived at the absolute peak of our weekend watch list, and the number 1 spot belongs to the intoxicating, slow burn psychological thriller, 9 Perfect Strangers. Picture a pristine, ultra-luxurious wellness sanctuary cut off from the world where 9 emotionally fractured city dwellers surrender their phones, their secrets, and ultimately their control. At the center of this gorgeous trap is Masha, an enigmatic Russian guru played by a mesmerizing Nicole Kidman, who famously stayed in character for the entire 5-month shoot to keep her co-stars genuinely unsettled during production. What begins as a lavish retreat of smoothies and silent meditation quickly devolves into an invasive psychological experiment, fueled by unorthodox methods like covert microdosing and forced vulnerability. Alongside a stellar ensemble, including Michael Shannon, Bobby Cannavale, and Melissa McCarthy, you get to watch the veneer of polite society utterly shatter in a beautifully manicured paradise. Every episode feels like a slow tightening of the vice, teasing answers, but always leaving you hungry for more. It is a brilliant, voyeuristic ride that constantly shifts the ground beneath your feet, proving that the most terrifying wilderness is always the human mind. If you want a prestige mystery that refuses to let you look away, this is your ultimate weekend binge. Whether you started with the corporate rot of Dopesick or the claustrophobic panic of Fleishman Is in Trouble, those 10 stories only scratch the surface of prestige television that demands your weekend. If you are looking for even more incredible television to fill your watch list after checking off these Hulu hits, you need to see these underrated series that almost nobody is talking about yet. Hit subscribe and click the video on screen right now.